What's going on, guys? It's Ty, and today I want to talk about the Stranger Things time jump that potentially may take place between seasons 4 and 5. I spoke at some length about this topic in my last video, which was about things I do not want to see in Stranger Things 5, if you want to check that out. But here I want to dive more in depth about the details of the time jump, the history the show has with time jumps, and what I really expect to happen with the time jumps in season 5. Before I fully dive into it, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel to get more videos like this about Stranger Things and other shows. I'm excited to talk more about things like this as we approach season 5. As for time jumps in Stranger Things, this seems like perhaps a new idea, but I think it's gone a little under the radar that Stranger Things has actually had a time jump between every season. So the events of the prior season have never just carried straight through to the next season, and this is something I thought we could potentially see in season 5, given the ending of season 4, which was basically the first time our Stranger Things crew had lost, in a sense. I know they damaged Vecna, and Max didn't fully die, but in a way, I mean, they suffered the loss of Eddie. They kind of lost Max, and she's in a really bad state. And most most of all, the Upside Down is overtaking the world. So in that sense, that's never happened to them before. And I thought season 5, at least when I had finished the season, I was under the impression that season 5 would hit the ground running and that we'd get right into action of preparing for battle or battling. But from every indication we're getting, whether it be set pics getting leaked or numerous sources around the show, we're hearing a lot of things that suggest not only will there probably be a time jump like there has been in the past, but it could potentially even be a more significant time jump than we've seen. To review the history of Stranger Things time jumps, let's look at each season and when it's ended in comparison to when the next season has started. So for season 1, it took place in November of 1983. That's where our journey with Will Byers and company began. And that season ultimately jumps ahead a month at the end to show how our characters are doing at Christmas. And then it picks up with season 2 10 months later in October of 1984. The events take place there. And then once again, we jump forward to Christmas time to see the snowball dance with our favorite kid characters. And then we jump about 7 months forward to late June and early July of 1985. And then it shows them moving out because, of course, at the end of season 3, the Byers moved to California, and that jumps all the way to October. So actually, the smallest time jump we've had so far is between seasons 3 and 4. And it's funny because that's when the kids aged the most. You could tell their age difference the most, probably. And so that was really interesting. But the period between season 3 and season 4, actually, on the timeline within the show, is only 5 months to March of 1986. And that's the last season we got. The kids are on spring break, and that's kind of the theme that kickstarts the season. Really, we've had time jumps every season of Stranger Things. It has been a thing. The longest of those time jumps was actually between season 1 and season 2, believe it or not. As for things we've seen on set, there's a few major clues that indicate there's going to be a significant time jump into season 5. One of which is the set pics of Finn Wolfhard and Millie Bobby Brown recording a scene together, it seems. And Millie Bobby Brown has long hair in this picture, like very long hair. And if you remember at the end of season 4, Millie, playing 11, unfortunately had to go back to the buzz cut to do her experiments back with Brenner. So obviously for a girl to grow out her hair this long again, it's going to take a significant amount of time, certainly over a year, probably like 2 years from, having it down to the bone. So this is a good indication that there's going to be a large time jump. Another indication is that they seem to be back at the school. And just thinking logically here, if they had to hit the ground running, if people are fleeing Hawkins, as we see at the end of season 4, you would think that it's not really going to be time to go back to school and, go to math and science class. It's going to be the town is in a panic trying to fight these monsters, and our group is gearing up for that. So evidently something happens after this that I hope is explained that shows us why they're able to return to normalcy, or at least continue with some of the functions of daily life for this time period before we get what seems to be the inevitable fight with Vecna. Now, as I expressed in my last video, I'm very confused at how they're going to explain this. I look forward to getting that explanation though, because I really want to see how we're going to get from that scene that we saw and we were left with at the end of season 4 with, Mike, 11, Hopper, Joyce, Jonathan, Nancy, Will, looking out over the hills of Hawkins and seeing what Vecna has built and seeing it all pour into their town. I'm really interested to see how we go from that to them, going back to school, I guess, going back to class. So, something is going to happen. Maybe it's Vecna gearing up. But once again, I just don't know why the town would resume normal activity if this is an imminent threat. And, why Hawkins High would become functional again. They showed at the end of season 4, people fleeing town because obviously this is a catastrophic, super scary thing that has happened. And it's not the first, it's the, one of many things that has come upon this once peaceful town. So I really don't know how they're going to explain it, but I'm curious to see what the explanation is. And to be honest with you, I liked the idea of not having a time jump. I liked that the end of season 4 could potentially kind of change the script for this show. And don't get me wrong, this is my favorite show, so I have nothing wrong with how the script has been so far. But, at really every season, they start out, kind of showing us where the characters are, giving us more emotional and more personal scenes to start off the season. And then, they start developing the monster in the middle episodes of the season and how it connects to our characters. They start unraveling mysteries and finding clues. And then near the end of the season is when they have to face off with these monsters. So don't get me wrong, that's been a very interesting concept up to this point. But I was kind of excited for them to break that heading into season 5. And the fact that we might not have that buffer period to start season 5. We might just get right into the action, and it's going to kind of have a different feel, a distinct feel from the other seasons, and one that will really leave us wanting nothing else out of season 5, one that will be action packed. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure season 5 will still be very action packed. I have no doubt in my mind about that. But I'm just, once again, I know I keep saying it, but I'm confused about how they're going to explain such a large time jump. And like I said, there's been clues on set about it. There are other pictures of certain Nike shoes and certain books and posters that wouldn't have been released yet in, say, 1986 or 1987. They came out more near the end of 1987 or 1988 or even 1989. So these pictures are also indicating to people that, hey, maybe there is a very significant time jump we're looking at in season 5. So in my perfect world, would I be hoping for a time jump in between season 4 and 5? Honestly, not, because I think it would be something fresh for Stranger Things, and I think the ending of season 4 set it up perfectly to jump back in where you left off. Now, look, I love this show largely because of the creativity and of the writing room, and I'm sure they will do a good job at not only executing the plot around this, but explaining everything and answering some of our unanswered questions about the time jump and about the Stranger Things universe in general. But it does concern me, and I'm just sitting here all the time thinking, how are they going to pull this off? How are they going to go forward what people are rumoring, say, 2-3 years? And, what's been going on this whole time? Why has Vecna not attacked? His plan, to kill 4 people worked. The centerpiece of Hawkins was uprooted, and the Upside Down is leaking into the real world. So why wait to take action? I realize Nancy and Steve and Robin damaged him and injured him a little bit at the end of season 4, but you would think it wouldn't take him years to recover and to gather his troops or whatever his plan is to get out there and fight. So ultimately, if you're asking me what I think makes sense, not considering set picks, not considering the kind of word of mouth that's going around social media, I would think what makes sense is to either pick up where you left off or to maybe jump forward a month or two to give some time for Vecna to heal and some time for our crew to get their feet underneath themselves and to get ready for this war. But I would think that the battle is imminent. It is on our characters' doorsteps. That's what I would think is happening. And also, I want to know if they're doing this because of the pressures from fans about the ages of their actors. I want to know if that is playing any role in this, or if they think this is actually like the best route for the storyline to jump forward multiple years after how season 4 ended. I'm really wondering if that is playing a part in this or not. But look, time jump or not, I'm sure the final season of Stranger Things is going to be epic. I just want it all to make sense and to come together because, we're hearing that the actual length of the season isn't going to be nearly as long as season 4. It's going to be more like the previous seasons, more like season 3 and 1, honestly. That's at least what they're expecting going into filming. So, they only have so much time to explain everything to us. And I just want it to be well thought out, and I'm sure it is. They had a lot of time to ponder this, especially given the writing strikes. But I just really want to see a logical and satisfying ending. I would hate to see this being compared to Game of Thrones or something when it's all said and done, and I'm sure it won't be. But this time jump situation, it has me with a lot of questions, as you can tell. But hey, leave in the comments if you think I'm making sense, if I'm not making sense here. I just don't understand how they're going to move forward multiple years after the events of season 4 and what they left us with. To me, it doesn't make much sense how they're going to return to school and have this normalcy for a year or two, and then now Vecna's ready to fight. So it's a really interesting situation to me, and I want to know if you guys think I'm making sense or if I'm just way off base here. And whether I like to admit it or not, I think about Stranger Things a good bit throughout my days when I get bored. So if I figure out a solution to any of these problems I'm posing, I'll be sure to post a video about it in the future, discussing, more details about this time jump, more indications we're getting that it's actually going to happen or confirmation of a time jump. But at this point, it seems really likely based on context clues we're getting, based on cast members kind of hinting about it in interviews, and based on just really a consensus among the online community that this seems to be the direction the Duffer Brothers are going. Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love talking Stranger Things, and I can't wait for the season to come. It couldn't come any slower, probably, but we'll make it there. Maybe not without me making like 50 more videos about it, but we'll make it there. But yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.